Welcome back to our 50-year-old kitchen, which I have shown you when we moved in, which is about 6 months ago. And within hours of moving in, we decided that this needs renovating fairly soon. Because even though we've been able to make it semi-cozy, it is very outdated and it's not very functional for the way that I use a kitchen, and I use a kitchen a lot. There is also that smell that I talked about. If you remember from that video, we actually found a dead rat underneath the kitchen sink cabinet, which is why there's a piece of wood in front of it, because I took the whole thing out. But that smell kind of lingered, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. I think it's actually in all of the cabinets. There's just an old musty smell coming from that entire kitchen. So I cannot tell you how excited I am to be breaking down this entire thing and taking everything out of the house. I'm also the only person who smells it, apparently. So last week they brought one of those really big trash bins for outside so that I can put everything from the kitchen in there. And so today I'm going to start demoing the kitchen. But first I need to take everything out of the cabinets. I've actually already gotten started, so there is a whole bunch already on the counter, but I am not done yet. So I'm gonna go and start with that. Today is October 11th, and in a couple of days there will be people coming over to do the prep work, like the plumbing and the electrical and things, and so everything needs to be out by then. And then in 2 weeks they will actually deliver the new kitchen, which is incredibly exciting. But to get started, I will be taking everything out of the cabinets, and I am putting everything that I don't think I need much into boxes, and everything that I do think I need I will put on the table for now, so that in the end I can see how much that is and find a way to store them. And of course I packed things away that I did later actually need. I also completely forgot that we had a party planned for Halloween, which was going to be 2 days before the new kitchen would be delivered, and I had packed away bottle openers and little plates for cake, and so I spent half the party looking for things in boxes, so that was fun. But anyway, now that all the cabinets are empty, I can break down the actual kitchen. We will not be salvaging anything. As I said, this kitchen is about 50 years old as far as we can tell, and it held up pretty well, but it's definitely at its end, so we can be quite rough with it. We don't have to be that careful, which was a good thing, because I could not find a way to get this drawer out, so I had to resort to brute force. Idiot. It is not coming apart. Aha! Yes! So I found another dead rat, or its skeleton anyway. It's a little bit gross. It's also a little sad. Out of my mind, how could I be so blind? How could I not see? So the next day I actually enlisted the help of my family, which went a lot faster. We actually finished breaking down the kitchen that day. We did spend quite some time trying to get those tiles off the wall, and I cannot tell you how many times I hit my hand with that hammer until I got so mad at it that I actually asked the guys who do the preparations for the kitchen to do it for me, because they actually have the tools to do so. So that would go a lot faster. So we left those on, and this is what the kitchen looks like now. It's an absolute mess, but it's definitely coming along. Designing our new kitchen was as much fun as it was complicated, and that was mostly because of our floor. We have a very specific, a very old tile floor, and it comes in all colors. It has orange and red and brown and yellow and green, and we definitely needed to find a color for the kitchen that would fit with that. So originally, we actually thought about doing a blue kitchen, but that doesn't go at all with the floor. So we decided to do green instead. And I actually spent quite some time looking for the right color green, because there are a lot of greens in the green family. And I made a list, and then I went out and I got some tester paints in those colors. And then the one that I thought looked best, I used to paint one of the cabinets in the kitchen, because the old kitchen was gonna go anyway. So I decided to paint one of the cabinets completely green so that I could live with it for a while and look at it and see what it would look like in several times of day. I thought it looked pretty good. This kitchen is on the northeast side of the house, so it doesn't get a lot of sunlight, which is also why it looked so dark. So I kind of thought that doing the green a little bit darker would kind of lean into that. We'll just make it a little bit of a moodier kitchen. However, the kitchen is pretty big. There's going to be a lot of green if everything is going to be green. So we actually decided to go with a dual tone kitchen. So the cabinets are going to be green, and then there's going to be a really big island in the center, which is going to have a smoky oak wood color for the cabinet doors and the cabinets themselves. So that is going to look really, really beautiful. It's very warm and cozy, and it looks really good with the floor because wood looks good with pretty much everything. The original kitchen has a very dark green countertop. That actually made the whole kitchen look very dark. So that's also why we decided to go with a light colored countertop. So it definitely needed to be durable. It needs to be Naomi proof. I need to be able to accidentally spill lemon juice onto it and not ruin the entire countertop. So we went with a ceramic countertop in a very warm white marble look. Absolutely stunning. I am very, very excited for this. So in a nutshell, the kitchen is going to be green with a wooden island and light marble look countertops. And I'm incredibly excited for it. And I'm also very terrified because I am not sure if I chose the right color. You never really can tell until it's actually there. So there's not really anything I can do now because it's been ordered. So I'm a little nervous. Now for the new kitchen, we have invested in a beautiful Lacanche cooking range. Now this will be the centerpiece of our new kitchen. However, it will not actually be delivered until the end of November. So until then, I wanted to find a way to keep using our stove so that I could at least still cook meals for us in the meantime. So I very quickly built a temporary structure that we could put the existing piece of countertop onto. So we were actually very careful to remove the countertop so that we could use that piece that the stove was in. And we put that on that little structure that I built, and that actually worked like a charm. Now a couple of days later, the guys came to do the prep work for the kitchen. Another challenge that we ran into was that underneath the piece of kitchen that was coming into the room, there were no tiles. And this is a very old salvaged tile floor that we really wanted to keep, and this spot would now be visible. So Steven actually spent quite some time looking for a company that had the exact same tiles, and he actually found one, which is amazing. So the guys that were here doing the prep work, they also took out the concrete that was in there, which was a challenge on its own because there was underfloor heating underneath, so they had to be incredibly careful. But it did work out, and then later someone would come and put the new tiles in. That was a lot. Like, we accomplished a lot in 1 week. So last weekend, it is Sunday now, last weekend is when we started taking out the kitchen. And then in the whole of last week, they did everything else. So they prepared all the electricity, all the plumbing, they moved some like power sockets around, and then they plastered all of the walls, which I didn't catch on camera, sadly, because I was working. But it does look absolutely amazing. It is drying now, so you can see those white spots everywhere, but I am just waiting for it to dry completely so that I can paint it. But that is everything that they have done this week. So I am very excited about how things look. We now have a whole week of nothing. There's nothing planned. There is one thing though that I need to be doing, and that is building the range hood cover. I decided that I'm going to do that myself because I had a very specific design in mind. It is quite simple though. It is actually inspired by the mantle that we have in the living room. I kind of want to have that shape come back in the kitchen. So it's very simple. But I am going to build it myself, so I'm actually going to take some measurements, see what I need, and then head off to the hardware store and get some supplies. So the guys that will install the kitchen will also install the range hood. So I needed this cover to be done before then so that they can put it in, which is a little hard because I have to build and hang the range hood cover without the range actually being underneath it. So I had to be very careful to read all the technical drawings very well and make sure that it was in the right position. I made a very simple frame that was 10 centimeters wider on each side of the range. So the range would be 140 centimeters wide, so the hood became 160. Now I didn't get much footage of building the frame because I am an idiot. And I completely messed up some of the measurements. So I literally had to start all over when it was already done. My sister was actually staying over, and late at night we started building version 2, and we actually finished it that night as well. I was actually able to make it less heavy that way. So the next day, Stephen and I were able to hang it up, and Stephen actually had the brilliant idea to put a board up on the wall that it could lean on. So we didn't have to pick it up from the ground all the time. We could just let it hang there and then put it in position before attaching it to the wall. It was a brilliant idea. And then after it was attached to the wall, I added the bottom piece of MDF, which is what the range hood will actually be leaning on. I also painted the underside of it, but I do actually have to do a couple of more coats and also sand down the places where the screws went in so that it's all perfectly smooth. As I said, we had a Halloween birthday party, so you can still see the balloons and some decor out when the new kitchen finally came. They delivered everything on Monday, and then on Wednesday they came to install it. Now, the footage of this is a little off because they started super early. They actually were here at 7 a.m. and it was still dark out. And these were also a couple of very dark and cloudy days, so they had to use a bright construction light to make sure that they could see everything. And that light makes for terrible lighting in a video. But that being said, they did a beautiful job. They were very precise with everything, and they didn't mind me being in their face with my camera all the time, which was very nice.
Tacos on Fridays and screaming kids is the furthest down on our list. Wow. Now let it go. Take it or leave it. We resist. There's no bucket list. Just one close fit.
Now, I think I spent about 60 years looking for the perfect door handles and doorknobs, and it was incredibly hard. I wanted them to be brass because that is what the hardware on the stove is going to be, but I couldn't really find the shape that I wanted, and eventually I found these, which I think are lovely, especially the doorknobs. I love the doorknobs. They look like tiny little pumpkins.
We gotta find a way to make it stay the same. With no fence of change.
So here we are. It is semi-done. It is incredibly pretty and very functional. I love functional. So let me give you a little tour. Let's start with the one thing that they weren't able to finish. This is our fridge. They actually delivered the wrong cabinet for the fridge, so they have to replace it later, which is why they didn't attach the doors. I think that it will take up to like 3 or 4 weeks for that to be replaced, so that's a little sad, but it's functional, it works. And then right here is the one thing that I was looking forward to the most, and that is our cooker. We drink a lot of tea in this house, and I really missed this faucet that we had in the last house where you have boiled water instantly, and this happens to be the most beautiful, in my humble opinion, the most beautiful version of this faucet. It's an antique brass in a very classic look. I love it so much. It is so pretty. We also went for a little bit of a weird color of the sink. At first, I really wanted to have one of those white farmhouse sinks that stick out, but we actually decided not to do that, mostly because I work a lot with cast iron pans. They are all very heavy, and they say they are quite fragile, so if you drop something, that it breaks. And I drop things all the time. So that didn't sound like it was very Naomi proof. So this is the sink that we got, and it's a very beautiful taupish color, which is kind of the color that is in the countertops as well, which is really, really cool. Then this is where the range is going to be, which I'm even more excited about. But for now, as you saw, we put our old stove in so that I can at least cook. And I actually replaced the top piece, which was the original countertop at first, but I replaced it with a piece of MDF and just cut out the space for the stove instead. And then I painted it so that it's a little bit more protected. It's definitely still temporary, but it looks a little bit more clean. And then there's the range hood, which I will be building the cover for today. So that's very exciting. I will actually get started on that right after this. This is an interesting side of the kitchen. I actually originally planned on building something myself, maybe out of wood, make it a little bit more farmhousey and a little bit more old looking than this modern kitchen that we picked. However, we decided that that would very much pull it apart from the kitchen. It would be a whole separate corner, and that I don't think that would have looked very good. So we decided to do the same cabinetry on that side as well and just make it one big cohesive kitchen. So this is kind of our coffee corner, because as you can see, this is where the coffee machine is. It also just provides a whole bunch of extra storage, which is really nice. And I will definitely be making this way more interesting and cozy by putting up some shelves and hanging some coffee cups from like little hooks and things. I think that would look really, really nice. And then of course there is this gigantic kitchen island, which I love very much. I do a lot of bread baking and pizza making, and I work with dough a lot, so I can use every centimeter of space. Right, so there is still a lot that needs to be done. I will be starting on the range hood today. I also want to put some trim around the door and the baseboards and the shelves and all the things to make this kitchen super pretty. We also have to work on the dining area. So plenty of things to do. I will save it for the next video though. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.